Where'd we leave off? I remember. Molding about the Rat Covenant and heading down the well. But before we get into that, you already know what time it is. Recording issue of the day. This year's issue, me. I tried to change my settings back to what they used to be, and it turned my mic volume all the way down. So hey, I guess Violet got schizophrenia. What can you do?
I don't know. I wasn't looking.
Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled programming. So, before we decided to go down the well, there was another area which the doors of Pharos led to, the Brightstone Cave Seldora. And after beating up a priest, it was off to the spider-infested, dingy, disgusting area. And after murdering all of its inhabitants, we went down into the caves and found the Duke's dear Freya, which, like the potato from Bloodborne, had a legion of spiders with her in the boss room. Now, the spiders are scared of torches, and usually run away if you've got one. But I didn't think of that, so we just kind of murdered a bunch of kids and their mother. And guess what? Primal Bonfire. That was another big boss that we needed to kill, so cool, I guess. After that whole fiasco, I remembered the dragon in the Tower of Flame. He's just kind of sleeping, but he's protecting something, presumably another boss. And now that my sword was +7, I thought it would be a good idea to get whatever this asshole was protecting. Now, the last time I came here, I got one shot by the fire, so... But surely it's got a bunch of HP. I mean, it's a dragon.
Impressive.
Well, damn. That was a lot easier than I thought. Our reward for murdering a dragon? Ornstein... I mean, the old Dragon Slayer. Yeah, I've got a feeling we were supposed to get here way earlier. Apparently, he had an updated moveset, but yeah, I'm too impatient, so I just murdered the guy.
Boom! 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 Boom!
And we got access to another covenant. For fuck's sake! Down the well, to the Grave of Saints, an area full of rats. The area was relatively short, with the boss being the Royal Rat Vanguard? It was at this point, I was thinking we had taken a wrong turn at some point and had completed the game backwards, because I don't think you're meant to kill the Authority before the Vanguard. Ah well, after we killed him, we got to meet the... You're fucking joking. Look, it's the Covenant, right? Look, he's laughing, he's smiling! He's laughing at me! But this time the area continued, down some ladders and eventually to the gutters of Hollow Society, with poison statues and explosive idiots all around the place. Now this area was pretty fucking bad, but the gutter continued even further and further down, eventually culminating in the Black Gulch. Literally the same area, but green. And after we got poisoned 13 times, we had finally made it to the boss. The Rotten. A disgusting boss, made up of the corpses of presumably every other poor chap who's tried to come down here. After all, we got him after chopping his arm off.
My arm!
Boom, another Primal Bonfire. That was the main boss? Alright, I guess. After the Black Gulch, we didn't really have an idea of where to go, and just kind of wandered around looking for another path we may have missed.
What is the next step of the operation?
Eventually, we found out what we were meant to do. About 20 hours ago. So, presumably after the Tower of Flame, we were meant to head back down this path in Majula and pay an NPC to open a way to the Huntsman's Copse. So, we had essentially completed the game backwards. So, we were insanely overleveled and demolished everything we saw. Ah well. The copse was kinda massive, with it all culminating in 2 separate bosses in this area alone. One being the Skeleton Lords. A gank boss using some of the most annoying enemies in the game, resulting in some painful stun locks, but as I said, we are grossly overprepared for this, so I just kind of smashed him with my +10 weapon. The next boss was the Executioner's Chariot, a sort of gimmick fight where you walk around in a circle, lower a gate, and then can fight the boss. Which is a sort of cool concept, but +10 weapon, boom, Mr. Hands down. And what did we get for it? Another fucking Covenant. For fuck's sake! Next area, obligatory poison area. From Soft Special. Gonna skip over this. But there were actually some redeeming qualities. First off, Sunlight Covenant.
Oh shit! Oh no fucking way!
Second off, life-changing discovery.
Oh, no fucking way you just did that to me. Holy shit, women. Get him out of here. That's it, I'm officially sexist. I'm officially sexist. I want it down in writing.
This shithole culminates in an equally shit boss, the Covetous Demon. Jabba the Hutt's slightly less obese brother, who I steamrolled and basically ignored.
Covetous demon dead. He ain't gonna covet nothing from the grave.
His fattiness led to the Earthen Peak. Another instance of Another instance of teleportation, but also has another example of careful exploration being rewarding, where you can burn these windmills and reduce the amount of poison in the boss room. And after walking around for like 40 minutes, I finally found the boss. Mitha, the Baneful Queen. Now, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I would assume her boss fight is much harder with the poison on the ground, restricting your movement and forcing you to play on a very small platform. But once I was taken away from her, she was kind of a cakewalk. And after some murder, it was on to the Iron Keep. The Iron Keep's pretty cool. A maze-like, trap-ridden level that involves a lot of levers, a lot of valves, and a lot of ladders. Eventually, I got to the Iron Peak's peak, where you find a bonfire and a lever which shuts down every trap in the level. Really useful for later exploration. Speaking of which, while I was walking around randomly, I found a funny little fella just chilling in a room. Because you see, in the earlier games, a fog wall did not always signify a boss, and I assume were used as a way to not render the entire level at once. But this leads to a blatant overconfidence and disregard for game. So here I am, walking into the Smelter Demon boss room with 6 Estus and 3/4 of this weapon's durability. Whoops. And even with how over-leveled I was, this boss had some crazy high HP, and multiple buffs he can give himself during the fight. But overleveled is as overleveled does, and eventually we made our way to the final boss of the level, the Old Iron King. A pretty intimidating looking boss. If he wasn't a gimmick boss, where he leaves his arm on the ground for 60 years. And of course, we got him relatively quickly. But not before.
Hi, friend.
Me bomba!
Wombaklat!
And after we got a talking to from a head drenched in fire, it was finally off to the mythical castle of King Vendrick. Drang Lake. The gimmick of Drang Lake is buttholes. Butthole golems that need souls to open shit, butthole doors which hide stuff, and after a quick weapon switch, it was back to Drang Lake. Just exploring around, filling some buttholes, and eventually finding the Queen of Drang Lake, who had an old friend protecting the rest of the area. A couple of old dragon riders.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
God.
Eventually, after fighting what seemed like the population of a small African country, we got to the true guardian of Drang Lake, the Looking Glass Knight. And I gotta admit, one of the coolest looking bosses in the game. Just a simple man in armor, fighting in a storm beats all the other bosses up to this point. But he's hiding another gimmick. Much like the old monk in Boletaria, this is a multiplayer fight, where he summons another player to help him defeat you. But he gets locked into an animation and after some off-camera trading with a bird, it was off to the Shrine of Amana. Another swamp-esque area, but with clear water this time. But it's up to your knees, so you can't dodge for shit. The area itself is pretty inoffensive, just slightly annoying with the water and enemy placement, but that's DS2. The shrine ended with this frog-looking fuck, the Demon of Song, who can only be hit after it comes out of its foreskin. This, combined with its massive damage potential, made the fight sorta difficult.
Oh!
But we of course murdered it in one try. 'Cause we're awesome.
I'm cutting that out.
Going further in, there's a path to a shrine. A shrine within a shrine, one could say, which leads to the Undead Crypt, where all the heroes of Dragon Lake were laid to rest. And apparently they just let a fuckload of zombies wander around in here, just kind of stinking up the place. This is a pretty bad area. The main gimmick being that zombies will just spawn in to ring bells, which causes every Tom, Dick, and Harry to jump you, draining your resources as you try and navigate a fucking maze. This all culminated in an equally shit boss, Velstadt, who's schizo as fuck apparently, since he started the fight attacking the demons in his head. And you'd think this guy would have some damage to back himself up. Nope. He's slow, does less damage than the demon of song, and he's schizophrenic. And above all, he's dead. Good riddance. What was he protecting? King Vendrick himself, who's gone hollow and stripped naked, which is integral for the plot. And most importantly, he dropped his ring. This somehow lets us steal his identity, even though we're like 5'11" to his 6 foot, and opens up parts of the world which were inaccessible. Fuck. He's also invulnerable right now for some reason, so here we fucking go! And that's part 2. Told you it would take me a while. I've got no clue why the quality and frame rate of the recordings get downgraded so hard once the video's up, but I'm not perfect. I'm not a professional. Bye. See you in a month. Oh, I almost forgot.